I can't believe you're actually considering using that. Zaraketh, my alien ally, said with a mix of disbelief and amusement in his voice. His towering, shimmering form loomed over me as we stood in the command center, gazing at the holographic display of the battlefield. The air was thick with tension, and the low hum of the ship's systems was a constant reminder of the war raging outside. I couldn't help but smile, the corners of my mouth twitching at the skepticism evident in his tone. Believe it, I replied, my confidence unshaken despite the incredulous stares from around the room. Humanity has a history of unconventional solutions. This is just another page in that history. Zaraketh huffed, a sound that in any human would have been laughter, using a meme as a weapon. This is beyond unconventional, it's madness. It's genius, I countered, turning my gaze back to the display. The plan was indeed audacious. The enemy, a race of highly intelligent, but emotionally stunted beings known as the Kryvak, had proven immune to traditional forms of warfare. Our weapons barely scratched their armor, and our strategies were easily outmaneuvered. But where brute force failed, we hoped psychological warfare would succeed. The weapon in question wasn't a weapon in the traditional sense. It was a meme, specifically, a series of images and videos so absurdly humorous that they transcended language and cultural barriers. Existed among various species, it had a universal effect, uncontrollable laughter, or the alien equivalent. It was a weapon designed not to destroy, but to distract and demoralize. As the plan commenced, the meme was broadcast across all channels, infiltrating the Kryvak's communication networks. At first, there was silence. Then, reports started coming in. Kryvak soldiers hesitating, their formations breaking as confusion and the alien equivalent of laughter spread through their ranks. The disbelief among my allies turned to awe, then to jubilation. The tide of the battle shifted in ways none could have predicted. The Kryvak, for all their advanced technology and intellect, were brought to a standstill by something as simple and human as humor. In the aftermath, as we celebrated the unlikely victory, Zaraketh came to stand beside me. I stand corrected, he admitted, his voice filled with a newfound respect. Humanity's capacity for creativity and resilience. It's truly unparalleled. I looked up at him, the shared joy of victory lighting up my face. Never underestimate the power of human ingenuity, I said, my eyes glinting with pride, or our sense of humor. The story of the stupidest weapon became legend, a testament to humanity's unique approach to problem-solving. In the face of overwhelming odds, it was our ability to think outside the box, to find laughter in the darkness, that became our greatest strength. It all began in the most unexpected of places, I started, recounting the tale to an audience of mixed species, each eager to understand how humanity had turned the tide of war with something as trivial as a meme in a university lab on Earth, buried among experiments considered too mundane or absurd for serious scientific pursuit. Zaraketh, standing beside me, his massive frame dwarfing my own, interjected with a rumble of curiosity. Aim. How does one discover a weapon like that? I chuckled, the memory still fresh. Oh, by accident, as many of humanity's greatest discoveries are made. A group of students, procrastinating from their actual assignments, stumbled upon a peculiar pattern. They were sharing videos and images, each more ridiculous than the last, trying to outdo one another in a game of who could cause the biggest distraction. The crowd murmured, intrigued by the simplicity of the concept. These students noticed something remarkable, I continued. Among them was an exchange student from a distant world, a member of the Kjarn species, known for their stoicism. Yet, midst their shared laughter, this student displayed the first sign of amusement any of them had ever seen from a Kjarn. Zaraketh's eyes widened, a sign of his growing interest, and that was the moment? Yes, I confirmed. That was the moment they realized they had stumbled upon something universal. A meme so potent it could breach the emotional defenses of species renowned for their impassivity. The story unfolded further, detailing how these students, driven by a mix of curiosity and the thrill of discovery, began experimenting. They refined their content, testing it across various species within the academic community. Each test confirmed their hypothesis. When crafted with a certain universal appeal, humor could transcend the vast divides of culture, biology, and even consciousness. As word of their findings spread, it wasn't long before military strategists caught wind, I explained. In the midst of despair, facing an enemy we could not hope to defeat with conventional means, Humanity was desperate enough to seize on any possibility, no matter how improbable. Zara's Keith nodded, understanding dawning on his face. So, it was born of necessity, a weapon conceived not in a lab or a military think tank, but from the innocent jests of students. Exactly, I said. A testament to humanity's spirit. From those humble beginnings in a university lab, the weapon was honed, its efficacy tested and proven in simulations and small-scale engagements. The room was silent, hanging on every word, as I detailed the extensive work that followed. The collaborations between comedians, psychologists, and military tacticians to refine the weapon. The creation of a specialized unit dedicated to its deployment. The secrecy and skepticism that surrounded the project. It was a weapon of joy and laughter, conceived in the darkest of times, I concluded. A reminder that sometimes the most powerful tools at our disposal are those we least expect. And so, armed with the stupidest weapon we'd ever seen, we stepped onto the battlefield, not with the intent to destroy, but to unite us all in a moment of shared humanity. The story, a blend of science, serendipity, and strategic innovation, resonated deeply with the audience. A vivid illustration of humanity's unique approach to problem-solving. Zara Keth, reflecting the sentiment of many present, voiced his admiration, humanity's ability to find light in the darkness, to turn the mundane into the miraculous. It's truly remarkable. And as I looked around at the faces, both human and alien, I saw not just the amusement and curiosity sparked by our unconventional weapon, but a deeper understanding and respect for what it represents. Our enduring hope, creativity, and the unifying power of laughter. You're not seriously considering this proposal, are you? The skepticism in General Martin's voice was palpable, a mirror to the disbelief that echoed through the ranks of both our own forces and our extraterrestrial allies. In the dimly lit room where the weight of impending defeat lay heavy, my idea was met with raised eyebrows and stifled snickers. Even Zara Keth, ever the advocate for human ingenuity, struggled to maintain his composure. A meme, my friend? This is a war, not a playground. The laughter that followed, though brief, stung more than I cared to admit. The Council of Allied Species, a tapestry of the galaxy's diversity, shared the sentiment to them. The concept of weaponizing humor was not just absurd. It was an insult to their sophisticated arsenals and time-honored strategies. It's unprecedented. Yes, I conceded, trying to mask my frustration with a calm I didn't feel. But conventional weapons have failed us. We need something unexpected, something the Krivak won't see coming. Our enemies are methodical, logical to a fault, I continued, my voice gaining strength. They've never encountered anything like this because no one has been bold or desperate enough to try. Silence followed, a contemplative pause that gave room for doubt to fester. The Galactic Council, renowned for its strategic acumen, viewed the proposal as a last-ditch effort from a cornered species. Humanity's reputation for unpredictable tactics was well known, but this seemed a step too far, even for us. Desperation has driven us to remarkable discoveries in the past, I reminded them, invoking our shared history of unlikely victories forged in the fires of necessity. What do we have to lose? The question hung in the air, unanswered but increasingly difficult to dismiss. As the reality of our situation settled in, the mockery gave way to reluctant consideration. With our options dwindling and the Krivak advancing, the absurd began to take on the sheen of possibility. In the end, it was the desperation that swayed them, the collective realization that conventional methods would only lead to conventional defeats. Very well, General Martin finally said, his tone laced with resignation. Proceed with your plan. May history remember this moment as either our greatest triumph or our most amusing folly. The meeting adjourned, leaving behind a mixture of hope and apprehension. As Zara Keth and I walked out, he placed a massive hand on my shoulder, a gesture of solidarity. Humanity never ceases to amaze me, he said, a faint smile playing on his lips. Let's hope the Krivak share our sense of humor. The skepticism remained, a shadow over our efforts, but it also fueled a determination to prove the doubters wrong. In the darkest hours, with the fate of worlds hanging in the balance, humanity had chosen to laugh in the face of extinction. Whether folly or genius, only time would tell. As dawn broke over the embattled planet of Valoria V, the stage was set for what would be remembered as the most unconventional battle in galactic history. Zara Keth and I stood on the command deck, watching the live feeds from the battlefield. Our troops, alongside our alien allies, were entrenched facing the formidable Krivak forces. The air was thick with anticipation and fear, palpable tension that even the most battle-hardened warriors could not shake. "Are we really going through with this?" Zaraketh muttered, his voice betraying a hint of doubt amidst the stoic resolve. "We are," I affirmed, my finger hovering over the launch button. "It's now or never." As the Krivak began their advance, a silence fell over the command deck. This was it, the moment of truth. I pressed the button, initiating the broadcast of our unconventional weapon across all channels. Initially, there was no visible effect. The Krivak continued their march, their imposing figures clad in armor that reflected the early morning sun. Then, slowly, a change began to take hold. The front lines hesitated, their synchronized steps faltering. Confusion spread like wildfire through the Krivak ranks, their unbreakable discipline breaking under the onslaught of human humor. On the screens, we saw the first of the enemy soldiers stop in their tracks, their heads tilting in unison as they tried to process the barrage of memes and videos infiltrating their systems. What followed was unprecedented, a ripple of disruption that spread through the Krivak forces, their formation disintegrating as the psychological weapon took effect. Zaraketh let out a low whistle, a sound of disbelief and admiration. "I never thought I'd see the day when the mighty Krivak were brought to a standstill by something as simple as laughter," he said, his eyes wide with astonishment. The battlefield, once a scene of imminent slaughter, transformed into a tableau of confusion and chaos. Krivak soldiers, known for their emotional stoicism, were caught off guard, their reactions ranging from paused movements to what could only be described as their version of laughter. It was a sight both bizarre and exhilarating. Our forces, buoyed by the sudden turn of events, seized the opportunity. With the Krivak distracted, human and allied troops advanced, using the disarray to their advantage. The battle, expected to be a slaughter, turned into a series of skirmishes that we began to win. "Looks like our stupid weapon isn't so stupid after all," I remarked, a smile breaking through the tension. The Battle of Valoria V would go down in history not for the violence it wrought, but for the unexpected victory it heralded. Against all odds, and to the surprise of friends and foes alike, humanity had turned the tide of war with a weapon so absurd it could only have been conceived by the human mind, a meme. As we watched the Krivak retreat, their invincible aura shattered, Zaraketh turned to me, his expression one of genuine respect. "Humanity," he said, "you've taught the galaxy a valuable lesson today. Never underestimate the power of creativity or humor." The first deployment of our stupidest weapon was not just a military success. It was a testament to humanity's resilience and our ability to find light in the darkest of times. In the wake of the meme weapon's initial deployment, the atmosphere among our ranks and our allies shifted from skepticism to cautious optimism. The success was not just a tactical victory, it was a psychological boon. Zaraketh and I watched, almost in disbelief, as reports flooded in detailing the confusion and chaos sown among the Krivak forces. For the first time, we saw them not as unbeatable adversaries, but as entities capable of disarray. Their response was unexpected. I mused, watching the surveillance footage of Krivak soldiers pausing mid-assault, their attention hijacked by the bizarre barrage of memes. The sight was surreal. Formidable warriors momentarily incapacitated by fits of what could only be described as laughter or its alien equivalent. Zaraketh let out a low, rumbling laugh. "Underestimating humanity's creativity was their first mistake," he said, his tone filled with a mix of pride and amusement. As word of the incident spread, the weapon's initial success ignited a spark of hope across the galaxy. Our allies, once doubtful, now eagerly contributed their insights and resources, helping to refine the strategy and broaden the scope of our psychological offensive. A coalition that had once teetered on the brink of dissolution found new unity in the face of an unconventional strategy that turned the tide of war. Our forces, buoyed by the unexpected turn of events, fought with renewed vigor. The knowledge that the Krivak could be rattled, that they were not impervious to confusion, emboldened us. Each deployment of the meme weapon, carefully timed and targeted, further eroded the enemy's morale, making them hesitant and unpredictable. "It's more than just a distraction," I explained during a strategy meeting. The evidence laid bare before the gathered commanders. "It's a crack in their armor, a way to break their concentration and sow doubt. We've made them vulnerable." The effects extended beyond the battlefield. Across human and allied territories, The story of the weapon's success became a beacon of light in dark times. Civilians and soldiers alike found solace in the humor, a reminder that even in the darkest times, humanity could find a way to laugh, to fight back against seemingly insurmountable odds. The Krivak, for their part, struggled to adapt. Their attempts to counter the weapon were met with limited success, their efforts to ignore or suppress the memes only making them more enticing targets for our psychological warfare. In the months that followed, the weapon's role in our arsenal was no longer a subject of ridicule but a critical component of our strategy. It had become clear that in the complex chess game of interstellar warfare, sometimes the most powerful moves were the ones that no one saw coming. As the war progressed, the meme weapon continued to evolve, its use refined and its impact undeniable. And as Zara Keth and I stood side by side, watching the unfolding events, we knew that we had not only changed the course of the war but had also written a new chapter in the annals of humanity's resilience and ingenuity. As the effectiveness of our meme weapon became apparent, we, alongside our allies, embarked on a journey to enhance its impact further. We realized that to maintain the edge this weapon gave us, adaptation and innovation were key. The Krivak, caught off guard initially, began devising countermeasures, attempting to immunize themselves against the weapon's psychological impact. They developed algorithms to filter out the memes, training their forces to resist the distraction. Undeterred, we leveraged our collective creativity, delving deeper into the science of humor and its universal appeal. We crafted memes that were more complex, embedding them in seemingly innocuous communications, making them harder to detect and filter. Collaborating with linguists, psychologists, and even artists from various cultures, we refined our approach, ensuring that our content resonated across the vast expanse of cognitive and cultural diversity found among our allies and adversaries alike. The challenges were manifold. Each innovation on our part was met with a counter from the Krivak, forcing us into a constant cycle of evolution and adaptation. But it was in this crucible of creativity that the true potential of our weapon was forged. We discovered that the more personalized the memes became, targeting specific units, or even individuals within the Krivak ranks, the more potent their effect. Strategically, we began to integrate the meme weapon into our broader tactical planning. It was no longer just a tool for sowing confusion, but a means of shaping the battlefield. By timing the release of certain memes to coincide with physical attacks, we could amplify their disruptive effect, creating openings for our forces to exploit. Zara Keth, always a source of wisdom and perspective, reminded me, in warfare as in life, the unexpected moments of levity can be the most disarming. Your weapon does more than distract. It reminds us all of our shared vulnerability to the absurd. As the war, once a bleak landscape of stalemate and loss, became a dynamic theater of innovation. Each engagement taught us new lessons about the power of humor, the resilience of the spirit, and the importance of adapting to the ever-changing contours of conflict. Hoptany with the meme weapon highlighted a fundamental truth. In the vastness of space, among countless cultures and species, the ability to laugh, to find common ground in the absurd, is a universal trait, a beacon of hope and unity in the face of darkness. The final confrontation loomed like a shadow over the galaxy, a battle that would either seal our victory or spell our doom. With the meme weapon at our disposal, we had managed to push the Krivak back, challenging their dominion over contested systems. Now, as we prepared for what could be the decisive engagement, the weight of expectation was palpable. I never imagined it would come to this. I confided in Zara Keth. Our ships aligned at the edge of the Krivi system, ready to launch the most ambitious offensive of the war. The plan was bold, leveraging the full potential of our psychological arsenal, alongside a massive coordinated physical assault. Zara Keth nodded solemnly, his gaze fixed on the star map that flickered with points of light, each representing a ship, a squadron ready to fight for their future. Your creativity has brought us this far, he said. Now, let's finish what we started. The operation commenced with a surge of activity across all channels. Memes, more sophisticated and potent than ever, flooded the Krivak networks, targeting their command structure, sowing confusion and hesitation just as our fleets surged forward. The initial phases of the battle were chaotic, the Krivak struggling to regain their footing as their ranks were infiltrated by waves of humor and absurdity. For every attempt they made to counteract the memes, we adapted, ensuring the barrage was relentless, a backdrop to the physical skirmishes that erupted across the system. As the battle reached its zenith, a crucial transmission was intercepted, a message from the Krivak High Command, riddled with confusion and disarray, a clear sign that the psychological pressure was taking its toll. Seizing the moment, our forces pressed the advantage, breaking through the enemy's defensive lines with a ferocity born of hope and desperation. The turning point came with a daring maneuver, a combined fleet action that exploited the disorganization among the Krivak forces, targeting their command ships with precision strikes. Amidst the chaos, the effectiveness of the meme weapon was undeniable, a testament to the power of unexpected tactics in warfare. The battle raged for hours, each moment a testament to the resilience and ingenuity of our forces, and when the dust settled, the Krivak were in retreat, their invincibility shattered by the audacity of our strategy. In the aftermath, as we counted our losses and celebrated our survival, the impact of our victory resonated far beyond the battlefield. We had not only defeated a formidable enemy, but it also demonstrated the unyielding spirit of humanity in our allies. Zaraketh turned to me, a broad smile spreading across his features. "You have changed the course of history today," he said, his voice filled with admiration, not with weapons of destruction, but with the universal language of laughter. As we looked out at the stars, I realized that this victory was more than a military success. It was a message to the universe that in the face of darkness, humanity's light, our creativity, our humor, and our spirit would always find a way to shine through. In the quiet that followed the storm of war, Zaraketh and I found ourselves reflecting on the journey that had led us to peace. The meme weapon, conceived in jest and desperation, had become a symbol of our resilience, a testament to the power of innovation in the face of insurmountable odds. "The galaxy will remember this victory," Zaraketh mused, his eyes scanning the stars that had once been battlefields. "Not for the battles won with lasers or fleets, but for the courage to wield humor as a shield." I nodded, the weight of our success settling in. It taught us the value of underestimating no idea, no matter how foolish it may seem. What began as a desperate gamble became our greatest strength, reminding us that sometimes the most powerful weapon is one that unites us in laughter. The aftermath was not just a time of rebuilding but of reflection. We learned that in the tapestry of the cosmos, humanity's ingenuity and spirit were threads that could weave through any darkness. Our victory was not just a military triumph, a beacon of hope, a demonstration that even in the darkest times, humanity could find a way to shine. As we moved forward, the lessons of the war guided us. We embraced the unexpected, fostering a culture of creativity and open-mindedness that would define our path through the stars. The meme weapon, once a source of skepticism, became a legend, a story told to inspire future generations about the power of resilience, ingenuity, and the universal language of laughter. In the end, I said, turning to Zaraketh, it wasn't just about winning a war. It was about proving that humanity's greatest strength lies in our ability to find light in the darkness, to laugh in the face of fear. And so, as we charted a course towards the future, we carried with us the knowledge that our most unconventional ideas could be our most powerful weapons, and that in unity, humor, and creativity, there lay the keys to overcoming even the greatest of challenges.